everyone, welcome back! Today for this cheap to wonderful wig transformation, you'll just need a couple basic items. I have a wig head propped up on my ring light stand, and I will also be using a pin to secure that to the wig head and a wig comb. This wig comb came with a wig that I ordered online, but if you don't have one, just use a wide tooth comb. You don't want to use just any brush that you have, as that can actually damage or tear the synthetic fibers, but a wide tooth comb should be safe enough to use. Then basically I'm just brushing the entire wig. This process took about 2 hours, but this is a very severe case of tangles, so it shouldn't take you that long. I am starting from the bottom up because you don't want to yank through any tangles. You want to carefully work them out from the bottom. This was actually a $12 wig from Amazon that was supposed to look like an 80s wig, and I bought it 5 years ago because I was Mrs. Lovett for Halloween, so I ended up styling it into pigtails to look like this. Once you brush through a section, you'll probably end up with some frayed hair at the bottom, so it's okay to just chop that off for now. First, I'm just making large cutting strokes, and then I'm actually cutting upwards to make it look more natural. This step isn't hugely important, as we'll be cutting off large chunks of the hair later to make it look better, but it takes away a little of the work now, so if you want to do that, then go ahead. Then just keep working. Like I said, this was a very long process, so put on some music or a movie or a TV show to have in the background and just get to work. Again, this is a very extreme case, so if you're just going for a wig brush out, then it shouldn't take you as long as it took me. I was originally planning on straightening and then curling this wig as well to give it a more natural curl, but brushing it out actually ended up doing the job. I think that's partly because it is such an old wig and it hasn't been worn in so long that the curls just sort of naturally released. But if you are having a similar experience like me with a newer wig, then it might be worth using a no heat method to straighten and curl your wigs. I recommend some videos that are on Alexis Paletti channel. She has a couple different wig series videos that she has, and she has no heat methods for straightening and curling as well. Then once I've brushed out all of the hair without touching the top yet, I'm going to unpin everything and put it up on a counter so that I have some more height to it. I am going to start the cutting process since the ends are very frayed, pretty uneven, and too long for my taste. But this is what the wig looks like with just a bit of brushing. Incredible, isn't it? Alright, let's attack those ends. So, to start off, I'm going to rather ruthlessly just cut off large sections of hair. I knew I wanted to remove several inches, partly just because the last several inches of the wig were very frayed, and partly because I wanted a shorter length. I'm giving it a slight curve so that the edges towards the front are shorter than the edges in the back, and otherwise I am making broad strokes across and then cutting upwards like I did when I was just cutting off small sections of hair and brushing it out. This is already making the wig look significantly better and honestly more natural. We don't usually let our hair grow out to the point where it's really frizzy at the ends, so cutting off a couple inches like this will already make your wig look significantly better and more wearable. I also make sure to constantly brush through the hair as well to make sure that none of the clumps stay in, and also to make sure that some of the lengths aren't hiding up in some tangles. Once you have brushed and trimmed to your heart's content, it's time to take the wig head down. This, while a forgettable step, is an important one. I wanted to go through and comb from the inside because if there were any pieces of hair that were more tangled or curling up on the inside, they could easily go unnoticed through the layers of hair in the back. So I brushed it out and then made some more adjustments. Next, moving on to the mop of the bangs. I start by brushing it out pretty simply, which already makes it look significantly better. Then I was going to start cutting it here, but I realized that the wig head didn't necessarily have the same proportions as my face, and I knew that I wanted it to be above my eyebrows, so I actually ended up taking off the wig and putting it on my head. Obviously, caution and safety is a requirement. You do not want to be doing this rashly when you have sharp objects near your eyes. That being said, it can be done safely, and I've cut my own bangs before, so cutting a wig's bangs isn't too different. Start by putting on the wig how you would normally wear it. Then, brush out the bangs again and section them in half so that you'll be able to see, even when you're working on one section. Then I use the same basic method of cutting off a significant portion of length before feathering it out to make it look more natural and less blunt. I also want to make sure to pin my hair back though, so that I wouldn't be getting any extra sections chopped off in the bangs, and I wouldn't be getting any sections falling in my face and inhibiting my vision. I also wanted my bangs to have a slight curve to them, so I made sure that the outer portions of the bangs were slightly longer than the inner portion. You also want to make sure that when you're working in multiple sections that the sections will end up being the same length. So try and start off with them the same length, but if they're a little too different, that's okay, and you can go up and even them out once you've cut them down. I'm pretty happy with how this has come out, but I wanted to make sure to brush everything out so that nothing was hiding, which a couple things were. And then the important part here is to lean forward. Whenever you're cutting near your face and cutting hair specifically, gravity will pull the hair downward. You want to lean forward so that any hair that falls out that you're cutting will fall into the sink or onto the counter instead of into your eyes. Here I am just doing the feathering motion of cutting upwards to make the bangs less blunt. Be sure to brush that out just like you did with the other hair so that no clumps stay in the hair, and then that's it for the bangs. I quickly threw 2 braids into the hair to give it a little bit of style, but that's it for this major wig transformation. Not much was done except giving it a couple hours of my time and a bit of patience with the scissors. Overall, I'm quite pleased with how this came out, and I'm quite amazed that it actually went so well. Like I said, if you want to straighten or curl your wigs, you can do that with heat or non-heat methods, but I would check out Alexa Paletti's channel for that information. And here's the final look at this outer transformation. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and let me know if you want more kinds of videos like this in the future. See you all next time, dragons!